Most people follow the law so they don't have to deal with the consequences. One of the major consequences of breaking the law is going to prison, so the more you could avoid this, the better. But there's a small percentage of people that see prison as a form of puzzle or a game, and in their own little world, they want to solve this puzzle, and by that, we mean escaping prison. In this video, we want to look at some stories that the prisoner was able to solve this puzzle and successfully escape prison. We start with one of the most interesting prison escapes in history. During World War II, there was a prison in Poland called the Stalag Luft III. And of course, it was under Nazi Germany control. During that time, this prison was known as the most secure prison in all of Europe because you can only find prisoners of war there. And not only was it extremely secure, it was extremely brutal as well. Even though it was brutal and the prisoners weren't treated like human beings, they still wanted to escape this place, so at least they had some hope in their system. Around this prison, you could find some tall fencing, and inside the dirt, there was even microphone. The microphone was there to prevent anyone from digging the dirt and building a tunnel system underneath to escape. So if you hit it with a shovel, the guards will realize that something fishy is going on. Inside these prison cells, the beds weren't located on the ground. They were bolted against the wall, so underneath it was empty, just in case the guards wanted to check if there's a tunnel system or a hole being made for them to escape. Even though there was plenty of security for them to prevent a tunnel being made, the prisoners were still thinking about an escape method. Inside one of the prison cells, there was a type of heater that took wood, and it was the only thing that was bolted down to the ground. It was because of this heater that they decided to dig a hole around it so they could easily hide it if a guard wanted to check that room. But to dig this hole, they didn't have a shovel. They had metal spoons because plastic spoons weren't used in prisons yet. At this time, an insane operation is taking place. Because first, they go down 10 meters or 30 feet. And the reason they go this low is so the microphone in the dirt can't detect their digging. After 10 meters, they start going towards the fence. So if they go down 10 meters, no microphone is gonna detect the digging. And to their luck, the dirt over there was mostly sand, so it was easier to dig rather than rocks. All the dirt that they would take out, they would fill it up in their socks and release it inside the prison yard because it was also made from dirt and sand, so nobody would notice. In some sense, the only positive thing happening here is that all the prisoners here were against the Germans, so they were all in together. If they realized that something is happening, they would either help or not say anything at all. You have to know, while this tunnel is being made, the year is 1944. There's a lot of pressure on both sides for the German army, and a lot of officers are missing inside the prison because they have to be at war. And that's why there's a shortage of guards. And that means there's less people worried about what these prisoners are doing. So in that sense, they're more free. It takes 5 months until this tunnel is formed and it's to the other side of the fence. It's interesting because when the news got out that this tunnel is finished, everybody wanted to escape, so they low-key lined up to escape. But it was pretty tight, so one by one they had to go inside. 5 hours later, one by one these prisoners escape, and 70 of them successfully leave the prison. And that's when the Nazi guards realize and stop it. When these 70 prisoners get out, word gets out to all the officers in the area to look out for 70 men that had escaped. And unfortunately, 67 of them were arrested, while 3 of them escaped. They brought 67 prisoners back, and the guards were so pissed that they ordered their execution on the spot. 13 officers were responsible for the execution of these 67 men. But when the war was over, all 13 of these officers were sent to the firing squad and executed. For the next prison escape, we gotta go to the most famous prison in the world, Alcatraz in San Francisco. Alcatraz is a famous prison that nobody was able to escape from, except for 3 men. One famous person has been able to escape this prison, and they haven't realized if he survived or not, and that's no one other than Frank Morris. Morris had a 10-year sentence, and they brought him to Alcatraz. They wouldn't just bring anybody to Alcatraz. It was prisoners that did something bad in another maximum security prison, and they were forced to bring him here. Morris was doing time in Louisiana State Prison, but he tried to escape, so they brought him to the unescapable prison, Alcatraz. But when Frank Morris got to Alcatraz, he was still thinking about escaping. He didn't let the fear of this insane prison get to him. So as soon as he got there, he got to work to figure out an escape plan. First, let's hear about Frank Morris. When he was being investigated and interrogated in Louisiana State, the guards realized that he's extremely smart. So one of the interrogators decided to give him an IQ test. When they scored his test, he got a 133 score, which is insane, and that places him on the top 2% of the world. So he was a very intelligent human being, but he used that intelligence in the wrong way and in crime. Morris brings 3 other men to help him do this escape. Morris had realized that each ventilation system in a room connects to the roof of the building. So the first thing he came up with is that we have to figure out a way to cut this ventilation cover so we can get to the roof. He gets himself to the janitorial room and finds a vacuum cleaner which has a drill bit type part inside there that he knows about. He takes that part and puts it back together like nothing happened. They slowly went at it and tried to cut the ventilation cover. And to make things less sketchy, when they were not working at it, they would hang a cardboard piece or a picture in front of it so no one would notice. Morris did something else that was important. He would go to the closet and he had collected a bunch of raincoats. The raincoats that were used by guards. When they finally entered the ventilation system to go to the roof, they have had 60 raincoats. It wasn't anything special, it was something that would prevent you from getting wet for the guards. When they get to the ceiling, they first connect these raincoats together so they can create a rope system so they can get down from top of the roof. While they're doing this, it's at night. As you know, the Alcatraz prison is an island. So when you get down from the building, there's no fence blocking you off. There's just a piece of the Pacific Ocean blocking you. Once they get down there, they connect the raincoats together and create a type of raft. But it's not really a raft, it's just something to prevent them from entering the extremely cold water. When they try to enter the water, one of the guys, meaning Alan West, flakes and he says this is not for me and it's too scary. So he leaves. But 3 of them, including Frank Morris, commits and goes at it. This is the last of these 3, and nobody knows what exactly happened to these 3. After the escape had happened and the prisoners realized what has taken place, a lot of experts say that the sharks of the Pacific Ocean ate these guys while they were escaping. But that's kind of weird, because if the sharks did eat them, where are the raincoats? Where are their clothes? Where are their remains? After all this investigation, most of the public believes that these 3 successfully escaped. There are other types of escape that we can't cover in this video, but one of the coolest ones is the Texas 7, which we've made a complete video about if you want to check it out.